Man, this just keeps on getting worse. The hits keep coming. And I ain't talking about parents just don't understand. Maybe parents just don't understand in this case. So about Jada and Tupac. Did Jada Pinkett lie about Tupac's proposal? What reason would she lie for? That's ridiculous.
A lot of people might not know, but he proposed to you while he was in jail.
I talk about this in the book when I go to see him in Rikers, when I wrote about that in the book, and when I had to talk about it, speak my words for the audible version of the book. That was probably one of the more painful parts, seeing him there, the condition that he was in, and having to leave him there. And he was in bad shape. And so when he asked me to get married, he was at Rikers. And I knew at that time that...
So did you see that? Did you see that little move there? I don't know. I'm a poker player, and sometimes I read body language. That move right there. Could that indicate something? Look at the motion again.
And I knew at that time that, he needed somebody to do time with him, which I was going to do anyway. He didn't have to marry me to do time. Right? I'm here.
I see why we love you.
And then he needed a rock. He needed, because of our friendship and because of everything we had been through together, he just wanted to feel that solidified foundation, you know? Because I promise you, he would have married me and divorced me as soon as his ass left jail. He would have.
Right.
I'll be real with it.
Right. Because so many people in that position don't have support.
Right.
None at all.
None. You know?
And he got the best.
Right. He was just like, look. And I just think it was the mind state that he was in, you know? He wrote me this long letter. And I think even before Pac went to jail, he was starting to shift in a certain manner.
Good or bad?
Good. Really good. And I think that for him, he just felt like, okay, if I can tether myself, it'll keep me on a trajectory.
Okay, so you heard it there from her directly. You know, so the interesting thing about this is that Tupac, the mythical figure of Tupac, rose from the streets of Baltimore to go to the Bay Area, become a dancer for Digital Underground, to later go on to independent solo success back on the East Coast in New York, and then bringing it back to the West Coast with the California Love, Dr. Dre, in Interscope, and Death Row Records. The legend, the man, the myth. Somebody like that, a lot of their life is going to be documented. And that's what happened in Tupac's case, unfortunately, for Jada's in her story here, because the letters that she's speaking of that she was interacting with Tupac, they actually got copies of the letters. And not only do they have the letters from Jada, they've got the letters from the other women he was trying to get married to. You know, when a man's in jail, sometimes, you know, you have nothing but, and I can only imagine, I haven't been locked up. When a man's in jail or prison, I imagine you have a lot of time for imagination and a lot of time to speak to women on the outside that you wanted relationships with, had relationships with. And at this time, they were doing them purely in letter form. Now I know you can text message and write and probably get on Instagram in jail or prison right now. But Tupac is a legend, remember. People have taken those letters and auctioned them off, or they belong to the association, the family has rights of them, and they are available online. We're going to take a look at some of those letters. And I didn't even know this existed, but a year ago, shout out to The Art of Dialogue, Art of Dialogue did a story on this. How Tupac turned down Jada Pinkett marriage proposal. Did she lie about Tupac asking to marry her? Sometimes the answers are right there in your face. And then, you don't know what's true and what's false, but a lot of times, it's just there. Let's see. Jada Pinkett's letter to Tupac. The first excerpt comes from a letter that Jada sent to Tupac while he was in prison on January 26, 1995, which is the same year Jada started dating her now husband, Will Smith. There's the letter, and there's the address, I guess. Okay. The letter was coupled with 3 photos of young Jada. One of the photos that stands out is a provocative picture of her wearing a silk lingerie gown. You know what he did with that. Rest in peace, Pac. I'm a fan of Pac, man. You know what I'm saying? That's why I want his name to be clear. If there's any discrepancies, I want everything to be clear. Also in the picture, Jada wrote a personal message to Tupac, which reads, "To my baby!" ! Tupac, stay strong! Never think you're alone! We're all here! JP. That's the picture right there. Also, in addition, she sent these 2. Now, I gotta give Jada her credit. She was a sex symbol at that point. Like, she was at the top of a lot of people's lists, despite what people might think of her now. I mean, she looks good for her age. We can always say she's attractive. That's never been her issue. But I just think now that this book is coming out and, kind of the impetus behind how she's talking about this relationship with Tupac, and, it's showing a lot of inconsistency. Inside the letter, Jada questions Tupac's relationship with Keisha Morris, who he eventually married while in prison in 1995, but later divorced in 1996, a few months after his release. So here's the letter. I just finished talking to you about an hour ago. I decided to call mommy because I was so emotional. I've been aching to hear that strong voice. I'm not sending the letter about Keisha because it was irrelevant now that we talked. I still don't feel she's what you need right now, but for real, I've got to trust you. If you feel her, something must be real. You and I will never feel any of our partners are worthy of either of us. So it's not for me to judge, really. I want someone to love you to the fullest. They have to love the man you truly are. She should praise you, adore you, worship you inside and out, whether you're right or wrong, pretty or ugly. You are the sun and the moon and should be treated accordingly. If it's truly your heart, will love her beyond the sense of our existence. That's how you should be loved. And that's how you should love back. It's unconditional. You walk now with your eyes open when she's by your side with ease. You should be able to close one. I've always felt safe with you, even through all the madness. I've never had a problem closing that one eye when I was by your side. I had to see through yours to get, I think it says, a sense of you. Anyway, so that's interesting. So, the Jada letter kind of puts it into one perspective. You've got her reaching out to him. He's in a bind. He's in a bad position. He's in a bind, Nate. I got to find that clip.
I'm in a bind, Nate.
Some other time.
But yeah, so that letter there kind of paints a different narrative than what she's posed it as. Because as we know, not only Jada has talked about this, but her children have talked about this. And they have one telling of the relationship with Tupac. It was purely platonic. It would have never worked. We tried it a few times. He proposed to me, and that's it. As a matter of fact, Jaden, her son with Will Smith, was on the radio talking about this relationship with Tupac.
I'm looking at this picture right here of Tupac on the shirt right there, and Tupac asked to marry my mom, and she was like, "We're Pac, like, we're best friends."
Right.
Like,
Well, they say marry your best friend, but I'm glad they didn't.
yeah.
He's like, so am I.
But
Jaden believes it's one thing. Jaden believes that his mother was proposed to by Tupac. Now, you know, I'll give even a margin of error. Many things can be true in situations of the heart, right? Especially, like I said, she's giving him support, moral support while he's in jail. But for her to just come out and say it like she's saying it, you know, like I said, this is all alleged. We don't know for sure. But I just find it interesting because Tupac continues in his letters from jail. Tupac does a letter to Sister Soldier. You remember Sister Soldier back in the 90s speaking out, and Tupac, I guess, had an affinity for her and wanted to, you know, communicate with her while he was in jail. So Pac, in his letter to Sister Soldier, he's telling Sister Soldier that he is in a position, right, where it's very similar to one of the characters in her books, because he has two women right now that he's trying to choose between. What stands out in the letter is a reference to a mystery woman who Pac references as Woman B, right? Pac expresses to Sister Soldier that Woman B is famous, rich, and she knew him before he got into the music business. And Pac says that he views Woman B as a potential wife, right? So who does that sound like? That sounds like Jada Pinkett, right? Pac went to high school with her. She's rich, she's famous. She's about in a relationship with a famous man, right? But yeah, there's a segment in the letter that says, okay, there's that chapter. This is Pac talking now. Okay, there's that chapter where you were contemplating sharing this man with another woman. I'm in that position now. I have one woman, A, because she's dependable, loving, supportive, and she's young and open to me guiding her through this crazy life. Who am I to guide? Anyway, woman A is from the streets, and that's all she knows. But I can see and feel how much she loves me. Damn, I'm starting to sound like Tupac just by reading his words. Woman B, on the other hand, is famous, rich, and able to assist me financially, loving, and very sexual. She's known me since before I got into the business, and she's been there from the jump. However, she's so into her career that we don't have much to get time together. So I'm literally torn between an old friend who went from being of a platonic nature to a potential wife, and a new friend who has been there through the whole gunshot, R-word, near-death experience. That's Tupac's words. Let's not get it mistaken. That's Tupac's words, right? So he's in a love triangle of sorts in his mind while he's locked up in jail. And the letter's pretty lengthy and long. You can go check it out. So yeah, but it doesn't stop there. Tupac had another letter that he wrote to a lady named Angela Artis. Now, when I was doing my searching around, I came across Angela Artis' name, and I remember hearing about her in like maybe one of the documentaries that was about Tupac. And Angela Artis is another person that's interacting with Tupac via letter. Now, mind you, Tupac is a celebrity still. So famous people are coming to jail to see Tupac. And actually, I believe Jada actually makes a trip up there to see him as well. Third letter comes from Angela Artis, right? So Angela Artis, she's had her letter published, and she's written a book already, mind you, a book. Jada's promoting a book right now. And her letter has been around the internet for a long time. But let's see. She actually writes about her letter in her book, and she has the whole letter from Tupac in her book. So in this letter, Angela, now, mind you, Tupac is romantically interested in Angela, but she's a third party outside of these two women, because woman A, we're assuming, was the woman he ended up marrying. I believe he only married her for a year. And just like Jada said, jokingly, she said, oh, he'll probably marry me for a year, and then as soon as he gets out of jail, he'll divorce me. Well, apparently that's what happened, but we don't know what the reason was or why they got divorced. Her name was, I'm sorry. She also mentions a second woman named Keisha Morris. And Keisha Morris is a woman that Tupac, I believe, ended up marrying for a year until he got out and divorced her, which Jada, if you remember, she jokingly referred to, that will be what happened to her, right? See how all this is connecting? Yeah. Because he saw that that's what really happened in Tupac's, marriage. Okay, so let's look at the letter. It says, no, I am not marrying Jada. It was never an issue. Yes, she did ask me, but it was more out of pity than real love. Don't get me wrong. I do love Jada, but only as a friend. We've been through a lot together. No, I've never had physical relations with her, just friendship in its purest form. Please know I am trying my hardest to be honest with you, even when it's not what you want to hear. In my first letter, I told you about the person in my life, didn't I? Well, here's more information on her. Her name is Keisha. We've been real with each other and seeing each other for 9 months on the 19th of March, and I've cheated on her. I cheated on her, got shot up, and basically drug her through hell. But she stayed in my corner, and I'm very loyal, so she's a special person in my life. I now have a real good relationship with her. We have no secrets. She knows of you, but not your name. I just told her I had an intense pen pal in GA, in Georgia, and one day we'd meet. She's not my girlfriend, but I am her king, and I consider her to be my queen. That sounds just like Tupac. I have written her poetry, but I have not written any of the poem. I have not written any of the poem made for you, for her. That's my word. It's not in me to be dishonest and shady. I don't tell her the same things I tell you and vice versa. She knows that I like you and I'm attracted to you, and she's jealous, but she also knows she's my queen, and jealousy is not becoming of a queen. She's real cool. I say all this to say, if by chance I was ever to be married real fast, it would be her, not Jada. Now, is Tupac just saving face on this after she rejected him? Who knows? The world may never know. Now, I'm sure you are through with me at this point, but I only went into detail because of your questions about Jada. She, Keisha, really has nothing to do with you or you with her, but I wanted to keep everything clear. So where does that leave us, you ask? Exactly where we are. Nothing changes. We have just met and we are growing every day. If I had known you for 9 months, I'm sure things would have been different, but such is life. I can feel you right now. Your mind. You know, we're not going to say Tupac wasn't a player, man. He got a couple lines there. He got a couple of them off there, right? But now you can see he has nothing but time on his hands, nothing but time to write these letters and play these women. And what do y'all think? Do you think Jada was one of those women? He was it was keeping him entertained, because Jada Pinkett, she tells the story as Tupac proposed to her, right? But Tupac, you got to think about it. This is the argument that people have about this Tupac relationship with Jada, is that Tupac had so many women, right? You remember, I get around. Step up, step up. Underground just don't stop for those, So at Tupac, I think TK Kirkland or somebody said Tupac was messing with Madonna. Like, Tupac was messing with all types of women. So yeah, does the story make sense now? Now that Jada's written about it in the book and it's in the record on her perspective on that relationship and how it went and how it impacted her life, does it check out? Does it check out with what we know as history? And, it's funny that all this stuff is coming about right at the same time that, the alleged, somebody that participated, one of the alleged killers of Tupac is on trial. But yeah, I just think it's really convenient that all this is coming up at the same time Jada's doing the book. But yeah, looks a lot like art imitating life. But anyway, I want to know what you think about it in the comments. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell notification for all uploads. This is Faucette Media.
Oh, so now you all that now that you bougie.
Now what you gonna
Hey, is there a problem? Is something wrong?
Squares, man. What you want, quiet boy? Man, you told me you ain't doing the right thing. Yeah, stand there with your mouth open, punk. Let your woman handle your business.